We're going to talk about miracles, of course, next hour. But there's also one coming up in just a moment with our guest, Shelley Yates. Stand by for this story because it is truly miraculous. Back in a moment. Well, her name is Shelley Yates, just a normal person like us who had experienced a lot of hard knocks in her 40 years and, well, did have much to thank God for, she says. While driving her 4-year-old son down the road, her world literally turned upside down as her car flipped into a marsh and began to fill with water. She's got an incredible story, and I wanted to share it with you tonight on Coast to Coast. Hello, Shelley. How are you?
Hi, George. I'm good, thank you.
Well, my gosh, what a miraculous event. Now, Shelley, I came across a story. One of our listeners emailed me your website, the grid.com,
yes.
firegrid.com. And I just read your story, and I couldn't stop reading it. I mean, it is one of the most miraculous stories I've ever come across. And I wanted you tonight, Shelley, to share that with our Coast to Coast listeners, if you would. Tell us a little bit, first of all, about you and then this event.
Well, I live in Canada, in Nova Scotia, and I have 2 small children, and my son, 4, was in the accident with me. I'm 40 now, and the accident happened 3 years ago, so I was 37 years old, and we were driving to a friend's house for a play date, and I hydroplaned my car in a small river crossing the road from a flooded marsh. And my car flipped upside down and landed in the marsh and sank to the bottom. And I was a certified lifeguard, scuba diver. I had every faith I was going to get out of this car. And I looked at my little guy, and I said, Mommy's going to get us out of this car, so hold your breath. And the water came up over his head. It was quick. And I had hold of his little body, and the water took us. And I wrestled with the doors, and they were locked. And long story short, I was in a coffin on wheels. And that's when I began to panic. So I somehow thought that I would be able to put my son in the back. There might be air. The car was kind of tipped.
Sure.
And I thought, okay, well, maybe there's air in the back. So I pushed his little body over the seat into the back seat and still wrestle with the doors trying to get out. And all of a sudden I had to breathe. And I took this deep breath of water. And I realized, oh, my God, I'm going to die. And I want my baby back. So I started flailing my arms around the car looking for his little body because I was terrified that he'd think I pushed him away at, the last moment. So all of a sudden, I heard this most majestic voice say, relax. And I was like, what? This is insane. But it was as clear as day, relax. And then I had this infusion of knowledge of people were coming to save us, and that if I took in too much water, they wouldn't be able to revive me. And they gave me all these detailed instructions about how I was going to save my son's life. And the next thing, I was in the clouds with these light beings. And they were giving me fabulous information about what was happening and why it was happening and what was going to happen in the future. And I was incredibly overwhelmed. But I put my arms out in the water and I just gave myself over, and I was gone.
Shelley, it sounds like me. Yeah, it sounds like you died. Did you?
Yeah, I was underwater for 15 minutes. So.
God.
Regardless of how you look at it, we shouldn't be having this conversation today.
No. And your son then, what happened?
No, my son was underwater for 30 minutes.
Oh, my God.
And they rushed him to the IWK, which is a children's hospital, and they declared him pretty much, he was brain dead, and all his organs had hemorrhaged and filled with blood. And they had told me that even if he does regain any kind of consciousness, he will be a vegetable, and he will have to have a colostomy, catheters, dialysis, just to keep him in a vegetative state.
Yes.
So, please unplug him. And I said, well, wait now, I need a minute, So I went out in the hallway, and it was like a time travel. Boom, I was back with these light beings again. And they were explaining to me, they used to say, have faith, child. And I thought, I was totally a non-believer in anything. So this was pretty amazing.
You were not spiritual before this, Shelley?
No. I used to say I had the power of one, and you're looking at her.
Yeah. Okay.
It was me against the world, in my opinion. So I once again, I had this incredible vision. I saw this bucket, and these light beings kept saying, fill it up. And I was like, what do you want me to put in the bucket? And they said, well, fill it up. And then when I lifted my head up from this vision, everybody's aura was glowing, the doctors and nurses. And I said, oh, my God, his aura is depleted. You want me to revitalize his energy field? And for the next 72 hours, I rotated people through my son's bedroom in ICU, which was highly, improbable.
Sure.
I had at sometimes 30 and 40 people in the hallways waiting to go in to his room because I was given all these instructions about how to save his life. And the people followed the instructions. And for 72 hours, we set timers to rotate people through his room the way I was instructed. And on the 73-hour mark, that little boy opened his eyes. And within 5 hours, he was totally conscious, and they were discussing taking all the tubes out because he had spontaneous regeneration of all his organs.
And this comes at a place where they were ready to unplug him and just let him go.
Oh, yeah. They said this child will be brain dead, vegetative, multiple problems with all his internal organs. His bowels had started to pass through his diaper, and he was literally passing his organs out of his body. And the smell of death on this little guy was incredible. So it was incredible, and here I had my little guy back. I was like, wow, this is incredible. And I didn't give much thought to my light being friends after that, except to say thank you. Oh, I'm so lucky, and to go home. But this miracle has continued for me because for 2.5 years they have continued to, I call it, download information about the world and the earth grid that exists around our world. And they've told me that what we did for a dying boy with a small group of people, we can do for a dying planet with a large group of people.
And did they open up some secrets of the future?
I have seen a lot of images. This is all very new to me, and I'm not, proficient at exactly being able to say, how do I put this? I've seen images of real cold weather, and I've seen images of a lot of disasters, and I'm not sure what part that plays in this, but these light beings have come to me now over the past 2.5 years, not with messages of disaster, mostly with messages of hope and how humanity has within us the bioelectric matter, and coupled with love and intention, we can actually surge the planet into what appears to be a giant Reiki session.
I like that, Shelley, the fact that they're coming to you with hope as opposed to this is the end of the world. Well, it's over for all of us.
They've given me incredible images about how this can happen. And the biggest thing is if I hadn't witnessed this with my own eyes, my own miracle, I was underwater for 15 minutes, and here I am talking to you. So, you have to say there's something to it. So I was instructed to build that website that you viewed. Everything on it, right down to the detail, the color, everything was, I suppose the word is channeled. The little symbol that flashes when you first open the site is supposed to be an ancient coding that is within our soul's code, and that humans may not recognize it, but their souls will, as a truth piece for the future. And the bottom line is they've asked me to amass as many people as possible to unite in kind of a meditation, prayer, intention. You don't even have to be, at one point they called people fence sitters, and they said these people don't necessarily have faith, but they want to, and these are the people that can contribute just having enough love to want things to be different.
Well, and I can't tell you, Shelley, how many people have been sending me emails saying that, we need mass concentration, mass prayer. Call it whatever you want to.
Exactly. Well, they've given me
this planet needs it.
They have given me a date. we have a date, we have a time. It's July 17th, 2007 at 11:11 Greenwich Mean Time. And they instructed me to put a time clock on my site and to synchronize the sitting for this hour.
2007. Why are they waiting so long? Why not next year?
I don't know. I haven't been given any ideas about why this time. I did ask them, of course, me being sarcastic. I said, well, why isn't it July 7th, 2007, 777, you know,
Yeah.
me being smart-ass, right? And they said, because the one is important. You are the one. We are the one. You know, it's the one. It's the coupled oneness of this world that is what's going to make this project work.
Let's go back about 3 years then, when the car flips upside down into the marsh. First of all, how deep was the water?
About 10 to 12 feet.
Okay, and it's got to be pitch black as it goes down.
Oh, it was horrible. It was a bog.
Is there a noise? Do you remember? Is there a sound at all as the water fills in?
Yeah, it sounds like when you're in the bathtub and you pull yourself down in the water and the water goes out the drain, the overflow drain.
Yes.
That's exactly what it sounds like. And that has sent me in a few panic attacks. You know, you put your head down and you...
I can imagine, Shelley. As it fills up in the car, how long does it take?
I figure it took 4 or 5 minutes for the car to fill up.
Oh, that's pretty fast.
Yeah, it was not a whole long time, and I kind of sat there, you know, assessing how am I going to get my son out of here, and I held on to, I undid his seatbelt and I had hold of his jacket, and so I had one handle on the doorknob, or one hand on the doorknob and the other hand on him, because in my training, you know, you can't open a car till it's full of water. You have to equalize.
Who were the people who finally pulled you out and your son out? Did you ever meet them?
Oh, we've become good friends. Yeah, there was that was another series of coincidences. Of course, I've come to know there is no coincidence. There was a man driving north on the road and a man driving south. They were friends. They were on cell phones to each other. They passed each other on the road. The first man, his name is Patty, says, "Did you see that car in the lake?" And the second guy goes, "No, it wasn't there when I passed." And so they put two and two together and said, "Ooh, the car went in between us passing." So it took them, they said, about 4 minutes to get back to the site, and then they just jumped right in. Now, one of those three men was a veteran paramedic. I mean, can you say wow?
You talk about being in the right place at the right time, I would guess.
Yeah.
Now, when you saw these helpers, these beings,
yeah,
was it the traditional into the light you go and?
Oh no, I didn't have any of that.
Nothing.
I left my body. I mean, I wasn't in form, and I was contained in what appeared to be a large glass room, and it was up in the sky. And there were 6 beings in the room and a large table. And they appeared to be doing something over this table. And I was, you know, kind of everywhere at once. You could see down, you could see up, you know, you could see the entire room. And
I'm going to hold you, Shelley, over for some phone calls because this is such a remarkable story. I want people to be able to join you and talk a little bit about this mass consciousness that's supposed to occur in 2007. And what do they want to accomplish with it, Shelley?
They've said there's 3 things to accomplish. They said the first and primary thing is that we will act like lightning rods between this grid system. So there's the cosmos, the divine, there's the grid system, and then there's Earth. And the energy from the divine will filter through us in like an atom-like swirling and go into the earth and start a healing.
I believe that. Stay with us. We'll open up the phone lines. What a miracle that was. I'm George Noory, back in a moment on Coast to Coast AM. Well, let me tell you, this is going to be one of those nights of great stories and miracles. I'm looking forward to it. And, you know, because tonight is basically my night before then there's Christmas, I'm going to wish all of you a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to, of course, all of you listening on your favorite radio stations in the United States and Canada, those of you who are Streamlink members, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you, the Coast Writers. Merry Christmas to those of you listening on satellite radio. Good to have you with us as well. And then, of course, the various chat rooms all around this country. the nighthawkzone.com. By the way, thank you for the message, Bad Boy. Very nice of you to send me that a few days ago. Appreciate it. Merry Christmas to all you nighthawkzone.com folks, the fantastic forum pirates who just keep pirating along. Happy holidays to you, the National Radio Club, and the various chat rooms throughout the United States. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to all of you. And by the way, the last couple days, and that is it, the After Dark CD is available. They will get it to you in time for the holidays. But 2 more days to go, and then we lock it up, and that is it. Ghost stories, unforgettable calls to the show, and also some bumper music. You can order it by going to www.afterdarkcd.com and call this toll-free number, 1-800-598-2331. And welcome back to Coast. I'm George Noory. We'll take your phone calls this hour. Our guest is Shelley Yates. It was a miracle, Shelley. Hey, Shelley, when you're in the hospital then and you're watching over your little boy, and you said that you were basically on a 24/7 watch rotating. Tell me a little bit more about that. Why were you doing that, and what were you accomplishing there?
Well, after I saw this bucket and I understood that they wanted me to infuse Evan with energy, aura energy, they then told me that I couldn't have people give him energy for more than 20 minutes at a time. So it was essential to pass a lot of people through his room. So we set the clock for every hour. And I called everybody I knew in the Halifax region, and we started a living, loving chain of humans through his room. And we did it night and day for 72 hours.
Now, do you believe these were spirits that came to you to offer assistance, or were they angels?
I've come to understand that each individual has their own ability to see what most comforts them. And these were light beings that had the most willowy, wonderful, beautiful shape. They were aesthetically very pleasing. When they came within the realm of my body, I had the most incredible high-frequency feeling of well-being and contentment. And people often ask me what I think they were, and I said, well, I think each of us would have seen them differently, if that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Let's go to phones. Let's take some calls for you. We'll pick it up by going east of the Rockies. You're on the air with us on Coast to Coast. Hi there.
Hi, this is Brian in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Hi, Brian.
I know you just asked the question, George, and I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas and all the other Coast to Coast listeners out there. I'd like to ask, though, but you said you asked her if she thought they were. But, Shelley, do you believe that they were angels, or do you think these were just some other form of paradimensional beings?
My own feeling about them is that they were spiritual light beings from elsewhere. They were not from our realm, not from this world.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. How is your little boy doing now, Sherry?
My little guy's great. He hasn't got any repercussions. There's nothing wrong with him. He's intelligent. He's going to school. He's a normal little boy.
Man, you've got to. I mean, do you say prayers now every day? What's happened to you?
Well, I've really wrestled with the God of my childhood that was one of sin and shame, and that kind of the God of wrath, so to speak, that you would be punished. So I've tried to incorporate spirituality into my life now through meditation and seeking the co-creation with God. That's what's working for me, that I best relate to and I can work with, because I'm not one for being able to deal with guilt, the old guilt of childhood God.
Well, and it does work for you, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And this is available to all of us. They've been very specific. They've given me so much information about the power humanity has and how we've created our own situations around our own guilt and shame and feeling of unworthiness. And when we start to realize that we're co-creators with this divine energy and that we have the same biomagnetic plasma that exists within the earth and the cosmos, we're part of this, that then we feel power to change and to realize that we have the power within us to make these miracles happen. The humans that facilitated in bringing my son back to life, we were all part of the journey through guidance. And I think that guidance is available to all of us.
How old's your little boy now?
He's 7.
7 years old.
Yeah, and he has, the running joke around here is that the guys who went in after us all got pneumonia and they were very sick. And here we had this, I was in the water for 15 minutes underwater. My son was underwater for 30 minutes, and we didn't even get a cold.
Yeah, but you both died.
We both died. Yeah.
Well, I've got to tell you, Shelley, he will probably grow up to be a very special, gifted child and young man when he grows up.
It's definitely a very interesting time. He speaks of seeing the angels. He talks about the army of angels that was with him during this. And I met Dr. Stephen Greer this summer, and he's become a big part of this.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so Stephen's called me this morning, actually, and he's become a great supporter for me because this was very freaky weird.
He's a wonderful person. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with us. Hi there.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Oh, hi, George. My name is Josh Gutierrez. I'm calling from Washington State.
Okay, go ahead, Josh.
First of all, I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas, George, and your guest, Shelley. I've been trying to get through for 6-7 months, and I'm just really excited to get through.
It was a miracle. You made it tonight.
I guess this is a comment for your guest, Shelley. Shelley, this is an amazing story, and I'm really glad to hear that you and your son both made it alive.
Well, thank you.
For you to come out on coast to coast and tell everybody. I mean, it gives a lot of hope to people who may not have any.
It is a message of hope, and it is a message for the world. And I've been very reluctant in being able to give it because I really did feel like, I was probably going to be rubber room material. But I've given myself up to the fact that this is a message that people have got to hear.
Shelley, are there some skeptics out there who hear your story and they simply say, not true?
I haven't come across any. Even the diehard skeptics, I've started speaking within my community, 50 people at a time, and even the diehard skeptics come up to me after and say, I was a fence sitter. And I said, really? And they said, well, I feel differently tonight. And I said, that's all you need is a fissure of possibility to make this a reality in our lives.
By the way, we cooked your website, so it'll take a while, folks, to get into it, but firethegrid.com will eventually come back also from the hereafter. We do that quite a bit, Shelley. We have so many people. First-time caller line, you're on the air with us. Hi there.
Hey, George. My name is Michael. I'm a minister by calling now Temple Hills, Maryland.
Oh, hello, Mike.
I was listening to Shelley, and I've seen literally thousands of signs. And one thing that I was curious about, I ran across a code a few years ago, and this code consisted of the numbers 71, 73, 74, and 75. And when I found it, I knew I had a code. I just didn't understand quite what it was. 2 weeks after I found that code, they came out with a book called The Bible Code. When I was able to get a copy of the Bible Code, I put my name in, and lo and behold, that grid system of 71, 73, 74, and 75 is where my name actually showed up in the Bible. And
cool.
She has used two of these numbers. Now, the way the code works, 71, 73, 74, and 75 are actually dates in which I met an actress. And when I met this actress, these were the dates in July that I met her. And then because I had met her and because I knew that this girl wasn't getting the part that she really wanted, I decided to write the story for her. And lo and behold, this is where this calling really begins. The thing that was really phenomenal was right after I began writing the story, about maybe 11 months later, they came out with the movie Michael. And Michael said, I'm a writer also. I wrote the 85th Psalm. Years went by, and I realized when I first heard of this actress, I worked at a place called 85th Avenue. I first heard of her in 1985. And I've been to ministry meetings where people are actually speaking in tongues, and the translation comes through. I'm gathering my people, thus saith the Lord.
Who's the actress, Michael? Do we know her?
Her name is Ginger. I don't want to use the name because, I just don't want to put pressure on her. Her name is Ginger, and she is well known.
It's funny that you say that because some of the information they have given me is that they have been gathering us for a long time, and that I was so fearful to come forward and speak about this because I really did, think I was kind of insane with the whole thing. And they said, you will be surprised at how many have already gathered waiting to hear these words. And I am shocked at how many people are contacting me regularly about this. Another thing they said that would happen within us was when we sit to fire the grid, we would elevate the frequency levels within our bodies, and apparently this is necessary for the next stage of humanity. Humans are going to have to elevate their frequencies to a much higher level so they're going to be able to accept what's going to happen in the future. And this is also going to happen when we fire the grid. And it's not going to be impossible for others who don't fire the grid to reach these levels. This is going to be an accelerated process, and that many of the people who sit and fire the grid will then become teachers of others because they will have accelerated much quicker. So a lot of this stuff is being downloaded to me. So,
Shelley, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're alive. Are you afraid of dying again, ever?
I'm not afraid of dying. I am very terrified of losing my breath. I don't want to die that way again.
Oh, I know. Oh, my God.
The dying, though, doesn't bother me at all. For the first time in my life, I feel peace that at some point they're coming to take me home. I'm going home, and that this is a very large university we are all attending, and it's the land where we learn and experience and grow, and then we go back and we share it. And this is very odd for me to say because 3 years ago it was bah humbug. You're looking at the power of one, and this is it.
I got to tell you, I couldn't think of a more horrible way to die than to be trapped in a car in a murky marsh, upside down, pitch black.
Yeah.
You can feel and hear water rushing in. You can't get out. Oh my God!
And I couldn't get my baby.
And you couldn't get your baby, which, of course, was the most important thing and probably the most horrible part of that entire episode.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Well, you know what? You survived it, and he survived it, and
we have a wonderful message that's come from this, and I feel very blessed and privileged to be able to tell you this, George, that, this is available. And I'd like to share it with anybody and everybody I can reach. I'd love to see on July 17th, 2007, a mass the world has never seen of people who truly, want change. It's that shred of hope. Why couldn't we do it?
And is this something, Shelley, that people can do from within their own homes all at the same time? Okay.
Definitely, yes. On my site is some music. I went through a really incredible time where I was connected with this musician in Canada, and they told me that within his music was tones and frequencies that would give me the information I needed, the kind of a downloading thing.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that before, too.
Now, his music, some of it is on the email or on my website because I contacted them and said, would you put some of your music on my site? Because they told me it would have a similar effect on everybody because the residual.
What's his name? Maybe I know him.
The artist is Aniel, and the composer is Bradfield.
Okay, do not. Let's
they're on the iTunes. I mean, they're amazing music, but the music is embedded with the most amazing tonal frequencies that speak to the soul. Us humans, we're the vehicles for this amazing creature that lives within us.
I'm telling you, it's all about vibration, isn't it?
It is, and everything they speak to me, as a matter of fact, most of the time they speak to me in tonal frequency first. And then it becomes this interpretation, which becomes difficult because I don't want to put my human biases on it. But at one point, they spoke to me about Sodom and Gomorrah and how for want of 10 good people, the city was lost. And they said, we're giving you the opportunity for humanity to raise their hands and say, there are enough of us here. There are enough good humans to save. We want to be included. We want to fix this. And this is where our power comes. It's from our own intention and our own love that will make this project a success.
Good for you. Let's go to some more calls and wrap up this hour. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with us. Hi there. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, great show, George. I got to thank Art for getting you to replace him. You've really done a good job. My question for Sherry is, all the talk, with all these people going through the room and helping to revive her son, what do doctors think about all this?
Oh, that was really amazing. They came up to me and they said, well, this is highly unorthodox. And I said, what the hell do you care? You already said he's dead. And they looked at me and they said, well, true enough. And it was really amazing to watch this. My mother's a nurse, and she just kept shaking her head because she couldn't fathom that they were allowing this to happen. And the news media was insane. They were everywhere wanting to be part of this, what was happening. And we actually had security, to keep people out. But the hospital allowed it, and I think they thought I was insane. They asked for a psych consult. And at the end of it, I remember looking at this neurologist and saying, well, aren't you glad you're wrong?
Yeah, that's absolutely great. I mean, now you got professionals as a testimony, and there is something after that.
Oh, yeah. I also really encourage parents to trust their gut. Listen to the inner voices, because so often the lady next to me, they said to her, well, you can't stay with your child. She's very sick. The child was dying. And she kept listening. And I said, get in there. Get in there. You're the parent. So I really encourage parents to listen to their guts and have faith in their children.
This has changed your life, hasn't it?
Oh, incredible, yes. But it was, George, it was a very difficult journey because it took me about 14 months before I would acknowledge that this was true.
You were fighting it?
Oh, incredibly, yeah. Tooth and nail. It wasn't actually till I met Stephen Greer in Montreal that it really hit home that this is real. I felt grounded, and this is real, and okay, I will follow this. Because I remember saying to Stephen, listen, here's this project. I was told about it. Here, you do it. And he laughed at me. He goes, not my project.
Yeah, Stephen's got his hands tied with some other things.
Exactly. But he's been incredibly encouraging when I feel like, I'm kind of loony. and I'm saying these things. He says, no, that's perfectly
Shelley,
normal.
You are not loony, and I want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas on behalf of everybody who listens to Coast, this huge audience, and keep it up. You just keep doing what you're doing, and let's talk to you as we get close to that strike point, okay?
Yeah, that would be great because, George, anybody at this point that I can toe in and say, help me, I'm asking, help me.
All right. We will be there, and I'm glad things are okay for you and your little boy. Remarkable story. Well, in a moment, we're going to talk about more remarkable stories because this was Shelley Yates. In a moment, Sherry Steiger will be our guest. She, of course, the wife of Brad Steiger. They've both written a book called Christmas Miracles, and it's time to have a show like that. I'll also tell you a little bit about where Vendell Jones thinks the Ark of the Covenant may be. I'm George Noory. Coast to Coast continues in a moment.